Hey everyone, and welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be taking a look at this, which is a NECA cult classic figure of Frank the Bunny from Donnie Darko. Now, Donnie Darko is a film that I've been aware of for quite some time, but I've never actually gotten around to watching it. And then me and my friend Lee sat down to watch it about a week ago now, and I really enjoyed it. And one of my favourite parts was Frank the Bunny. And I love his design, I love the mask, and I thought, I would like something like that. I'd like some merchandise of him. And you can get masks of him that are specially made on Etsy, but they're quite pricey. Other than that, I can't really see too much other merchandise. But then I discovered that NECA had made a figure of this guy, which I thought was the coolest thing ever. And I also discovered that it was a part of their Cult Classics line, which, as you guys are probably aware of, or you may not be, is very old. So when NECA first started off, the type of figures that they made were more staction figures, so you'd have practically no articulation except in the head and the arms. That's pretty much the only thing you'd be able to move, but hopefully when we take this guy out the box, we will get a closer, in-depth look at that. But this is a part of the Cult Classics line, and judging by the date on the box, this actually came out in 2005. This is the second series. And on the back, you can see the other characters that they had. You've got the Wes Craven's New Nightmare, Freddy Demon. You've got the Texas Chainsaw Massacre Leatherface. And you've got Donnie Darko, Frank the Bunny, and also Phantasm. I haven't seen that before, but so this was a line of figures that, like I say, were not really action figures. They were more display pieces. You could adjust the head and the arms, but that was it. They all came with display bases, as this one does. Frank the Bunny appears to lead Donnie Darko on a journey to the end of the world, whether it's waking Donnie from his sleep to exact chaos in his hometown, or teaching him the possibilities of time travel. The mystery of Frank shakes the walls of reality Donnie lives in. So, yeah, very cool film. And then NECA Cult Classics, a brand new series comprised of your favourite heroes and villains from classic horror, sci-fi and action movies. Each figure is highly detailed and comes with a complete movie-accurate accessories and display bases. So, I have to say, very, very nice presentation. I actually can't believe that this is as old as it is. 2005, very different times back then. I know that another character in this line was also Shaun from Shaun of the Dead, and I also think that what's his name? Shaun and the fella Nick Frost plays. It escapes me. Ed, that's it. Shaun and Ed. They got figures in this line, so I'd love to be able to track those down because Shaun of the Dead is one of my favourite movies. As you see, NECA Real Toys, all the logos that you're used to, picture of Donnie Darko Bunny on the packaging, very nicely presented. You got the figure in a nice window box. There's a picture of him this side, however he's fully visible from this side, the top and the bottom. Frank the Bunny features alternate head and base, which it does, and the base is behind him, and you've also got this very awesome mailbox and even the letter, which I don't want to have any spoilers in this video. If you guys haven't seen Donnie Darko, I'd recommend you go see it. And then, of course, you have the alternate head. So some of you guys are probably going to be very, very annoyed at this because, this is a genuine NECA cult classic from way back in 2005, but we are actually going to take this out of the box because I'm a firm believer that when you buy things are meant to be enjoyed. That's what toys are made for. They're not there to just sit in a packaging so you can go, oh, look, I had this. I'll never understand that personally, but I'll try to get it out the box as best as I can without completely destroying the box. So without any further ado, let's get on to the figure itself. And so here we have Frank out the box and looking very, very, very cool. Now, you guys know Drawing Jack Rabbit, it's a dead giveaway. I do love rabbits, and this is probably one of the coolest rabbits that's ever been in film, I'm not going to lie. The design has always intrigued me ever since I first saw it on I think it was a poster that I saw, and I just thought, oh, what's that? I always meant to get round to watching it, but I just never did. And this guy looks really, really cool. Now, one thing I will say is, because of his shape and how he's sculpted, he does stand perfectly fine without the inclusion of the stand, which we'll get onto in a moment, but he's a very cool figure. Now, not much articulation to him. Obviously, as I've mentioned, it is just a action figure, but I'm going to be honest with you guys, I don't really think you could work joints into him, and one of the reasons I say that is because of how he's shaped. The only way I could see NECA really modernising this is by doing a retro cloth figure. So you'd have like your typical kind of action man body underneath, and then you'd have like a sort of onesie over the top with the head, and the mask could be removable. That'd be a cool idea. Please, NECA, you know. But for what this guy is, he's very, very nice. You've got all the details sculpted in of the fur all into the plastic, and then you've got this very nice darker grey with the sort of light grey brushing, just to highlight the details. All very cool. You've got this lighter grey piece here. I love the detail on the shoes as well. These very trainer-like shoes. Some people have said they are a little bit big for him. And yeah, maybe that is the case. He does seem to have really big feet and quite a small head, especially with the alternate head sculpt, which I'll get onto in just a moment. So yeah, it's there's not really too much to take a look at in terms of articulation. As I said, you can do a full 360 with each arm, both sides. We've got yeah. The ear's stopping me from doing this side, but yeah, you bring the arms forward if you want to. The hands are pre-sculpted and everything, so it's all pre-sculpted to look exactly as it did in the film. It's like the only gap, I mean, the gap in the legs doesn't really start till about his knees, you know, so this is all tightly sculpted together. I kind of like how it's sort of twisted to one side. It gives the illusion that, you know, it is actually a costume. Like there's a lot of space in there, so it's just kind of twisting. You've got all the creases and everything in there. Really, really like it. It's very good attention to detail. With the head sculpt, you can turn from side to side. I wouldn't recommend that you do a 360 because I just don't want to break it. There is a slight side to side, and maybe slight forward and back, but not really much. But the detail on the face is just absolutely phenomenal. I love this. I love the way that they've used a sort of glittery white almost, just to give that sort of glowing to the eyes. If you shine a light in the eyes, they really do show up a lot more. You've got wonderful detail in the teeth. There's sort of this black glossy wash over them. Very, very cool. And you see he carries on that sort of fur texture because this is a hood over the back, and then the mask is just, well, a mask. So you can actually see his neck underneath there. Unfortunately, some flesh paint has leaked there, which is a shame, but it's not too noticeable. So overall, a very nice looking figure. I mean, it's very creepy, but so cool at the same time. It's exactly how it is in the film. Just another thing I forgot to mention, guys, is this figure is very heavy. He actually has quite some weight to him. He feels very durable, so as well as being able to stand very well, he's really quite... You know, he feels very solid. It feels like it would take a lot to break him. I feel as though the real fragile parts are the ears, and you should definitely be careful with the ears when removing the head. But other than that, this guy's very solid, and especially when you consider later on, all it takes to break a NECA figure is like just move a joint slightly. This honestly may have been a golden era for the company. So yeah, really, really good. And now back to the review. So I suppose to really appreciate this figure in full, we have to take a look at his accessories, which are, of course, the display base, which is very, very nice. I think it's meant to be the side of the path. You've even got a little bit of grass there, which is a nice attention to detail. You can see that they've painted certain stones different colours. And you've got all those different washes of grey, which are nice. I love the stones. They look, I mean, they look real, especially this one here. You've got three different colours. You've got a darker grey, a lighter grey, and a sort of beige colour, and it really does. It almost looks like someone super glued actual stones to this. It's very cool. Not much underneath, but there you are. NECA 2005. So yeah, that's when this is from. God, I was, depending on whenabouts in the year it was released, I was either 5 or 6 years old. So yeah, this is like a time capsule to me. This is going way, way back. So as a part of this display stand, you also do get the mailbox, which I think is so, so cool. As you can see, you've got Sparrow, the little thing that you're supposed to put up when you put mail in there. R Sparrow. And then US mail approved by the Postmaster General, I think that says. Yeah, you got that very nice wash over it. It all just makes it look really old, which is very good. You got a nice texture on the wood. It's funny, this actually does feel like wood. It's that well textured. It really does feel like I'm holding a piece of wood. You got the little plug which goes into here. So we'll do that in a moment. And you can actually open the mailbox, which is awesome. And to go in your mailbox, you do have a letter from Donnie Darko. You do have the letter. You've got Darko, extremely important, and then Roberta Sparrow. And then you've even got that nice detail on the back of the letter. And this can be slotted in however you want. I'd try and get it upright, but it does fall quite a bit, and then you can close it, and it's a nice place to store your accessory in case you're worried of losing it, so that's a very good idea. I'm just wondering if you can place it into his hand. You might be able to. Yes, you can. Yep, so that slots into his hand as well if you want to put it in there. So all you have to do to attach your letterbox is just align up the shapes and just clip it in. Very easy, it just sits there. So that's your display base constructed. Like I say, we'll pop the letter in there. So lastly for Frankie, we'll take a look at his alternate head, which is from that very creepy scene in the cinema. Like I say, I don't want to spoil much about the film, but that is a very good head sculpt. I have to say, I think the paint has been a bit sloppy here and there. There's been some scuffs and also some bleeds of different colours. Or I'm not sure, could that just be aging that's done that? I don't know, but that is a very, very good head sculpt. Looks just like him. The hair's really nice. You've got the earrings painted. I say I like the blood coming from his missing eye. That's very, very good. Now, I did have to file the hole out with a screwdriver. What I did, I just put a screwdriver and twisted it. I have to do that with a lot of my NECA heads just so it fits on the peg a bit easier, which I'll show you. So to pop the head off, you just twist off. It's your standard ball peg joint that we're all used to, except this one is significantly thicker. Like I say, I just kind of filed the head out a bit because I couldn't get it on, and now it just clips on with no bother at all. So there you have Frankie with his real face, and it looks really good. So that gets quite a bit more motion. You can do a 360 on that easily. You can look forward, back, you can even lean from side to side. So you've got a bit more motion on this head sculpt than you do the rabbit head sculpt, but that's really, really cool. Perhaps a little bit too small, I'd just say, but that's only a minor gripe. Just a little bit too small maybe, but then again, it is supposed to be like a puffy onesie costume, so I suppose actually it's not really too far off. But as awesome as a head sculpt as this is, I'd have to go with the bunny because, you know, that's, I suppose, the mascot of the film. I will say this head is Oh, you do feel it clip on, but it is quite tight, which is good. So lastly, to attach Frankie to the display base, you just have to line up the peg hole with the peg. Unfortunately, I am finding this quite difficult to fit in. This might be something else that I have to file out. But yeah, you just line it up and you should just be able to twist it on. So it'll look something like that. Like I say, he's not quite as far in as I would like him to be, but I can fix that in my spare time. So yeah, this is very, very cool. I really like this. I know the articulation isn't to the standards of a modern NECA figure, but I just think this is really, really cool. I think it looks great. It has brilliant detail. I love the inclusion of the base. It just gives it, you know, something more on your display. And now NECA kind of sells you accessory packs, you know, or display packs to kind of enhance your figures, when back then they used to give you a display base, and I kind of really like it, I'm not going to lie. I do know that there is also a quarter scale version of this figure, which is exactly the same. It's basically this, but just so much bigger. So I don't think I would want that. I think I'd rather just stick with this one. But yeah, I think it's going for like £200+ on eBay, depending on where you get it from. But I'm perfectly fine with this one, to be honest. So overall, what do I think of this Frankie the Bunny? I really like him. Honestly, I think this is a figure that's really going to stand out on my shelf. And, you know, I feel like a lot of people give the old NECA shtick because they don't have the articulation, but they certainly have the detail. And actually, I think someone did a comparison where they proved that the older NECA figures like this one actually have better paint than some of the figures you're getting today. Like the re-releases, you know, the reissues where they just improve the paint. Yeah, the originals still had better paint. So it just seems back then as though a lot more attention went into detail and obviously just not as much into articulation. But I kind of like it. And, you know, I almost wish I was growing up, I was this age back then. So, because having cool stuff like this at probably £20 a figure, I'm guessing, you know, they've been a lot cheaper back then, would have been really, really cool. So yeah, I really like this, and I think he's going to look very good on my shelf. Overall, I give him a 8 out of 10. Very, very good. So if you guys can track this down, I'd imagine he's quite difficult to find here in the UK, but if you guys can track him down for a reasonable price, then I would say, yeah, go for it, especially if you're a fan of Donnie Darko. I thought it was a great film. Honestly, very, very psychological, you know, very cool, and obviously huge fan of rabbits, so what better than to have a creepy looking death rabbit on my shelf. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this review. I certainly did. I loved making it. I've had this guy in the box for a few days now. I've been wanting to open him, but like, no, wait for the review. So, as I said, hit that like button and turn the notifications on so you guys never miss a video. Stay safe and happy wherever you are in the world, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye-bye.